Good morning. It's the morning of January 2nd, 2022. This is Ron Brown. I'm going to take a look at some of the best performers over the last year, show you some tricks that you can do in HGSI. And I'm going to concentrate on stocks that are in industry groups in HGSI. So I am in all securities. You can see that down here. And I'm going to make a group of these stocks. There are 4,275 of them assigned to industry groups. So I'll just do an alternate G. Call it stocks in industry groups. And I don't really need an index. And next I'm going to go up to my folder under Ron Brown top-down process scans. Go to number 4, return up to 12 months, and we're going to look at the top 100 stocks. So I'm going to focus or make sure that I'm on this column, percentage price change beginning of year, or if we do 12 months, you can see it's the same thing, it's identical. Now some of these stocks, this one wasn't in for 12 months, but it's had a great percentage return, so I'll just make it a subgroup of this. Alternate G. My typing is, as usual, not very good. So we'll just go with the top 100. And you can see stocks and industry groups. Well, I have to finish this. I have to hit yes. And now there we go. The top 100% price change stock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this list as, and the name is already in there. It's going to go into my download folder. I'll save it. And then I'm going to click on my filter icon. I will type symbol. And I want to locate this symbol list right here. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to clear this. I'm going to load the list. Goes to my download folder. And what cannot be found? The index could not be found. So I have my top 100 stocks in this symbols list filter. So I'm going to click on OK. And then I'm going to go to the designer, which is right up here. And I'll click on the group inclusion report, and you can see that I am using the symbols list, use applied filter. I'm going to clear this. I'm going to start with stocks and groups up. The purpose of this exercise is to see if these stocks appeared in these groups. I have saved several groups over the year. The most important ones are stocks and groups up, and the top 100 raw combo stocks. And I'm going to make sure that I check the children. And once all of that is checked, I will click on OK. And it brings up the group inclusion report. You can see the filter applied is symbols list. You have to have that applied if you're going to do this. And then we can look down here and see which stocks appeared the most often and when they appeared. Okay, so that exercise consists of getting the top 100 performers, creating the list, creating the filter, or importing them into the filter, and then running the group inclusion report. So let's just take a look at SD, which started appearing back on January 5th, and then it appeared a couple more times in January. once in February, several appearances in April, several appearances in May, and June, as you can see. So let's just take a look here. I'll hit spacebar, SD, and you can see that the percentage price change is 237.4% over from the beginning of the year, which is the same as 12 months. So I'll bring this up. It started appearing back on the early January. Let's see, the date here is 12/31. It would be this week right here, 1/8, where it first started appearing. And you can see that it moved up, expansion, contraction, expansion to the downside, expansion again, and it contracted, expanded down, and then the big expansion came in, and this was, what is that date? 7/30 approximately. So let's take a look here. You can see that it started appearing in July on the 1st, but the big move was around the 30th, and you can see that all of this week it was appearing in the stocks and groups moving to the upside, both the $1 to $15 group and the other regular stocks and groups moving to the upside. So that's one example. I'm not going to do a bunch of these. I just want to show you that this works. ERF. I'm showing you that the stocks and groups moving to the upside will locate these stocks. Not always, but more often than not. So let's do ERF. ERF was up 238% also. Notice these are both exploration and production stocks. I'll do one more that isn't an exploration and production stock. So when this starts showing up, February 10th, several instances in February. Let's go back to, well, first of all, I have to bring the stock up. ERF. And early February would be right in here. 2.5. You can see it started making the move. There, it didn't pick it up before that, but there was a huge move after that. Expansion to the downside, and then the big move up here. I'm using a weekly relative strength chart on the right-hand side here. Now let's go down and find one that's not in exploration and production. Most of these are. Here's a marine shipping. Safe Bulker, SB. 190%. When did it start showing up? Early February, a couple of times. April, a lot in April. Let's take a look at SB. February. Here's the 5th of February. Started showing up the following week. It would have been in this week here, and then of course there's a pullback. But you know, that's fine. What's this month right here? 423. 423 right in here. 423. It started showing up again on this big move. Now this is a kind of a loose chart. Big runs and then profit taking. Big runs, then profit taking. This is why you really don't want to chase stocks that have had the big runs if you can catch them early. And let's just look at a few of these VPA flags. I haven't said anything about that. Lots of accumulation in here. No supply on this weekly chart. Effort to rise, effort to rise, effort to rise. And then some negative VPA flags here. Effort to rise, effort to rise. You can see that effort to rise is a very valuable signal. Now, this is, of course, the weekly chart, daily chart. Probably would have picked these up earlier, but I'm trying to show the entire year here. Okay, now of course a lot of these show up, but if I go clear down to the bottom, you can see that some of these show up very few times. I want to be clear about that. Not everything's going to show up. Here's Upstart Holdings, which appeared on August 18th, and it only appeared one time, UPST. Well, it's an IPO or relatively new. So that's maybe one reason. Let's see, 818. Well, there's 813, so it would have appeared in this week right here, and it really made a nice run after that, and then of course it collapsed, but that was a good appearance at that point. Okay, now let's do something else. Now I'm going to move on to something else. Back to the designer. Going to use the group inclusion report. I'm going to clear everything out of here. You have to clear it out. Then I'm going to go into the best of Woodward and Brown. I'm going to check the children. I'm going to use the same applied filter, the symbol list of 100 stocks. I'll click on OK, and you can see that MARA appeared the most times in Best of Woodward and Brown, beginning back on the 8th of January of last year. It appeared 43 times. Let's take a look at MARA. Okay, so it started appearing in this right here on this Effort to Rise weekly candle. I'm going to do something here. I'm going to go to my daily and go back to early January if I can do this quickly. And so 1/8, 12/15. There's 1/5. And it might have appeared, no, okay, 1/5, there was an effort to rise on 1/6. And it appeared on 1/8 in the Best of Woodward and Brown. So it had already made quite a move, but the Best of Woodward and Brown looks for several SmartGroups that these stocks are included in. And then it stalled, came back and based again, and then took off. Let's see if it appeared again on the 12th. Okay, it was up there, and then 201, 128, 2-1. It appeared right here before it made this big move up here. Boy, talk about a stock that did a lot of gapping. Let's do something else. Let's go back to the group inclusion report. Do a Control F, MARA, and it started appearing clear back on the 4th of January, about the same time there. So okay, that's the 4th, and then on the 5th it had this effort to rise. Let's look at a different stock. Let's SIG. Let's see, it appeared in February, but then not again until June. So I'm on the daily chart. Let's look at SIG in June. A lot of these stocks would be really tough to hold. June 11th, there's June 10, June 11 right here. It appeared in the Best of Woodward and Brown, but look at the range on here. Yeah, this SIG had a wonderful return for the year. SIG, well, it's right here, 219.1, but can you hold it through these ups and downs? That is the question. Okay, let's do one more thing here. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to clear this. And I'm going to do the top raw combo stocks. These are high relative strength stocks. Check children. Going to run this. Okay, SM Energy began appearing back on the 4th of January, all through January, and this was a high relative strength stock at the time. So let's take a look at SM Energy. And you can see it was up 381.7%. Let's take a look at the EPS is 95. The relative strength is 98. Look at the earnings growth here. And this started appearing, what did I say, the 1st of January. I'm on a daily chart here. Let's go back. I went, wow. It's way too far back. I'm going to pause this and find. Okay, I paused it. Let's see, 1/4. It was probably appearing in the prior year, but here is 1/5 right here. It appeared here after an effort to rise here, an effort to rise here, a couple of negative flags, a couple of black bodies, and then it took off, got overextended and pulled back, rebased, and took off again. Look at all the times that this stock appeared as a leader. 206 times over the year. It's been a high relative strength stock this whole time. Let's look at the next one. Signet Jewelers, we looked at that. Marathon, we looked at that. So these are appearing in multiple lists. IDT, let's look at this. And what is IDT? Come back over here, 257%. And it's, well, at one time it was a lot better than that. Let's go back to the weekly chart. It's just easier to see. When did it start appearing? It was back in March on the 8th. So it would have been during this week right here that it started appearing as a high relative strength stock. And from this point on, if I do an alternate A and draw it from here to the high point, from that point on, it gained 201.8% after it started appearing as a high relative strength stock. And of course it sold off from then, but I just wanted to show you what happened. And this was a tight chart until it got up here, and then there was a shakeout. Took several weeks for it to rebase and go up again. I want to point something out. I moved this column in this morning, industry percentage price change, 12 months, and what it does is it shows you what the group did. This group was up 257% for the year. Now let's go back up to the top stock here, SM. I'm going to put SM back in here. And it goes into the warehouse. If you look over here, you can see this industry group was up 103.31%. So what can we conclude just from looking at a few examples is many of the good stocks have a high relative strength and appear in my leaders group. Raw relative strength, raw group is what I call it. And the stocks and the groups are both moving up, so those are both factors. So what's the factor here? High relative strength, high group strength are an excellent combination. RS is 98 here. It was appearing clear back in January as a high raw relative strength stock and raw group. This combo looks for stocks that are strong and the group is strong also. And if you want to use this group, go under Woodward and Brown, and I track this every day in the non-index groups. It's leaders, raw relative strength, raw group rank combo. It's driven by a combo rank. The top 100 stocks are taken arbitrarily each day. Here is what the combo does. If you click on this group, right mouse click, and I believe it's group properties. Okay, combo ranking based on the raw relative strength, the raw group, and the percent above the 200-day moving average with the primary weight on the raw relative strength. And it makes a group of the top 100 stocks. So when I designed that combo years ago, that's what it did, and it continues to work. So we're looking for these strong stocks in strong groups above their 200-day moving average. And then you can just look at the report. You can run this report yourself and find out what the leading stock. Okay, to finish this video, I'm going to create a new warehouse view. It's just kind of a report. These are the fields I put in: the name, symbol, last close, percentage price change, 12-month, the industry percentage price change, 12-month, EPS, RS, group rank, ERG, industry, securities and industry sector, 1-year revenue growth trailing 12 months, and 1-year EPS growth trailing 12 months. And I'm going to just take a look at this. Sort on this. Let's take a look at the industry, entertainment facilities, and just look at the number here. I'm going to do this. Exploration and production was the leading, or has the most stocks in it, followed by biotech. Marine shipping has been good. Financial services, 2 semiconductor devices. Been a lot of emphasis on semiconductors, but you can see that exploration and production really was the leading group as oil prices rose. Now here's the report. I'm going to sort it on industry group. You can see some of these stocks have not been around for 12 months. Let's just bring this one up. You can see that this is a weekly chart. Huge run on IPO, integrated shipping services. I'm going to do something here. I'm going to add 6 months in here. Move it up. For stock, well, that it doesn't even have 6 months in it. I did something wrong here. Okay, I put it over one column. Better add another column. Okay, 3, 6, 12 months. I'm going to leave the 12 months in this column because that's we're doing this for yearly, but you can see the other columns filled in here also. So like this one right here, it's up 16% for 3 months, but over 6 months it's up 31%. Okay, now I'm going to save this as an HTML. I saved it earlier. I'm just replacing this. And then I'm going to open Excel, open. Going to go to my downloads folder, top 100 price change, and here we go. Now I can't get all this on a PDF, so what I'm going to do is I will just upload it and share it as a see if I can Excel file, and then you can, if you have Excel, you can open it up and you can sort on any of these and see what the characteristics are. Interestingly enough, looking at these stocks that had the huge percentage gauge, you can see that most of them are still high relative strength stocks. Very few of them have fallen off. Now, SENS is up 206% for the year. It's a biotech. It has fallen off on the RS, but most of them are still in their 90s. What does that tell us? It tells us that high RS stocks are a good place to prospect for the coming year or any time. Stocks and groups, conclusion, stocks and groups moving up. Excellent place to look. And also our relative strength. If you look over at these columns, you can see if revenue and earnings affected these stocks, and you can see a lot of these stocks have really strong earnings, percentage earnings based upon a 1-year EPS growth and 1-year revenue growth. Some of them, it doesn't matter. Before I end this, let's try one more thing. I'm going to go to my group inclusion report. I have the same filter on. I'm going to clear this. I'm going to do the top raw combo stocks, check children, stocks and groups up, check children. And run this. And what I'm checking for are stocks like SM. You can see that it was in stocks and groups moving up multiple times, beginning clear back on January 4th. And then when did it get into the leaders group? January 4th, it was already there. So this is a great combination to find leading stocks and groups moving up. Let's go back here to the date. This is also January 4th, and raw relative strength is January 4th, and this is another, well, this is Mara. So you can see this is a good combination. I'm going to make a group, a user smart group with these parameters. I'll have to think about this a little bit, but just looking for stocks that are in both stocks and groups moving to the upside and the leaders raw relative strength. Okay, that's it. Thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of this. It just shows you some of the capabilities of HGSI, and it shows you what works. Stocks and groups moving up, leaders, raw relative strength. Those seem to be the two most important components. There's one more thing I forgot to do. I'm going to do that quickly. I forgot to run the group inclusion report. So let's click on this. I'm going to clear everything. Go up here, top 50, check children. I'm just going to include the shorts also. Using the filter, the symbols list. Going to run this. Looks like INMD appeared most often. Let's look at IMND. INMD. There it is. And I want to bring the warehouse back up. Where did it appear? Up 197.3%. Started appearing back on March 1st. Which would be right in this week right here. Made a heck of a run from there. It appeared there, and it didn't start appearing, well, it appeared in April a couple of times, and in June several times. So let's take a look at June, which would be right in here. And from there, it doubled after it started appearing. Mara, we've looked at it already. When did it start appearing? Clear back in January. Look at it again. Well, this is the one that's kind of loose. Started appearing here. Signet, we've looked at. BNTX started appearing a lot in April. And that would have been right here where it started appearing. There's the 1st of April. It appeared the 13th. So it would have been during this week right here, and it made a large run. What I'm pointing out is, even though a lot of SmartGroups are required for these stocks to appear in the top 50, oftentimes they have huge runs after they appear. IDT. And when did it start appearing? Clear back in March several times. So back in this area right here, and look at the run it went on. So just because they're appearing in the group inclusion report top 50 does not mean they're gone. Let's look at DDS. When did it start appearing? Clear back in February. So that was clear back in this area here, and look at the run it made. So pay attention to the top 50 group inclusion report also. Let's run one more report. Okay, I need to get back to my designer. Going to click on this. Going to leave the top 50 checked. Go back to stocks and groups moving up. Check the children. Top raw combo. Check children. And run that. And let's see. Okay, here's Mara. We know it's a high relative strength stock, which also appeared in the top group inclusion report many times. And it appeared in stocks and groups moving up many times. Let's take a look at the next one. What is this? Signet Jewelers, same thing. Stocks and groups moving up multiple times. Raw relative strength leaders group many times. And the top 50 many times. Same thing for SM Energy. It appeared in all these many times. Top 50 clear back in February it started appearing. See if I can get a name here which we haven't seen. AR. Let's take a look at AR. Okay, AR started appearing in January of last year in stocks and groups moving up. Raw relative strength, it started appearing. It was there in early January. In the top 50, it was there. It didn't appear until March. So let's look. First time in March. But it was appearing in the other two groups often. So it started appearing somewhere in here. Let's look at one more and I'll end this video. Well, Dillard's we looked at. Let's try to find another name here. Sandridge. But you can see it appeared, all these appeared in all of these groups. ERF. Stocks and groups moving to the upside. Clear back in February. Raw relative strength in March. Top 50. Let's see, 2020. Not until September. ERF. If you go down here, you can see it gained 238% over 12 months. And when did it appear in the top 50? Not until September. Here's September right here. So it had a really nice run, and this is an inexpensive stock that gained a bunch. Going to do one more and this will be it. Matador, exploration and production. 238 appearances. It was appearing in stocks and groups. Clear back in January. Leaders raw relative strength. Clear back in January the first time. And then in February several times. Same thing in March. And top 50 starting in June and more in September. That's MTDR. So clear back here it was appearing in stocks and groups moving up. And then leaders raw relative strength, it began appearing. Well, the first one was back in March or January and then February. So throughout here, and then the top 50, 625. So it came late on this one, right in here near the top, and then there was a pullback, and then it reversed. But the biggest gains, as you can see, were from leaders, raw relative strength, and stocks and groups moving up. I would check those all the time. I'm going to make a go ahead and see what I can come up with on User SmartGroups, something for that. Anyway, I wanted to add that. I almost forgot it. Thanks for listening. Have a happy and prosperous new year, and watch the market very carefully. It's very overextended, but there are always opportunities.